On March 1st, 1781, the Articles of Confederation were ratified by all 13 U.S. states. But what are the Articles of Confederation? And what violent uprising led to the document's downfall? After declaring independence from Britain in 1776, the Continental Congress began working on a plan of government for the new United States of America. After more than a year of effort, the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union were agreed upon while the Congress was meeting in York, Pennsylvania, because of the British occupation of Philadelphia. To take effect, the document would need to be ratified by the states. Maryland was the last state to ratify the Articles more than 3 years later, on March 1st, 1781. Each state wanted to maintain its sovereignty, so the Articles created a weak central government. They forged a league of friendship rather than a truly unified country. The Articles provided only one branch of government, Congress, which had no power to tax nor to regulate trade. There was no federal court system to resolve disputes between the states. There was no executive branch, so no president. Each state had only one vote in Congress, regardless of its population, and each state also had full veto power. It is not surprising that in forming a new government, these states reacted against the structure from which they were trying to break away. Britain had a strong central government. The states wanted the opposite. Britain had a king. The states wanted no executive at all. It's logical that the states went too far the other way with the Articles of Confederation. It's human nature. The Articles only held the states together because of the common cause of the war against Britain. Once independence was won, the Articles' weaknesses began tearing the fragile Union apart. After the peace treaty in 1783, because Congress couldn't tax nor regulate trade, Britain took full advantage. Britain demanded high tariffs on American goods without having to pay any tariffs on the goods it shipped to the states. Each state did have the power to implement its own tariffs, but each was afraid that if it did so, business would go to neighboring states. Under the Articles, Congress lacked the power to step in and establish a unified trade policy. High inflation and decreased post-war demand crippled the economy. Many American farmers lost their land and were thrown into debtors' prisons. Nowhere was the situation more dire than in Massachusetts, where a group of farmers led by Daniel Shays revolted against the state government. Shays and many of his men were Revolutionary War veterans. Shays had been, in fact, a decorated soldier, and even received an honorary sword from the Marquis de Lafayette for his exemplary service during the war. Sadly, Shays was forced to sell that sword as his debts piled up. In January 1787, Shays and his men attempted to storm and occupy the federal arsenal in the western Massachusetts town of Springfield, but were stopped by a private army raised by Boston businessmen. Had the Shaysites succeeded, they likely would have used the weapons from the arsenal to occupy and burn Boston. The fragile nation may have crumbled. Shays' rebellion demonstrated the utter failure of the Articles of Confederation. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and others called for a convention in Philadelphia that summer to address the young nation's issues. Madison and Henry Knox helped convince George Washington to come out of retirement and attend the convention, giving it legitimacy. The delegates at this convention agreed to Madison's plan to abolish the Articles of Confederation and create a new government that, like Britain's, had a strong central government with a chief executive at its head. And thus, the U.S. Constitution was born. The original signed copy of the Articles of Confederation can be found today in Washington, D.C., in the Rotunda of the National Archives, alongside the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1692, the Salem witch trials began as 3 women are charged with witchcraft in Massachusetts. In 1872, U.S. President Ulysses S. Grant creates Yellowstone, the world's first national park. In 1917, the Zimmermann telegram is published in newspapers, helping push the U.S. into World War I. In 1927, musician, actor, and civil rights activist Harry Belafonte is born in Harlem, New York. In 1932, aviation pioneer Charles Lindbergh's son is kidnapped from the family's New Jersey mansion. In 1961, JFK establishes the Peace Corps, a volunteer worldwide humanitarian program. In 2003, the CIA and Pakistani intelligence capture 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. During which conflict did the U.S. gain control of Puerto Rico? The Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War, World War I, or World War II? Liked learning about the Articles of Confederation? Then you'll love this one about the U.S. Constitutional Convention. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.